All right, now we're rolling.
Yes, now we are rolling. This is Husky Huddle for the best coverage of UConn football around. Locked On has nothing on Coach Schumann and the Coach Schumann YouTube channel, Sports and Entertainment. Smash that subscribe button. Coach Schumann, great to see you.
Hey.
I missed you all weekend. And we have our very special guest, Mr. Julius Trenches Williams of the Trench Mob USA down in Decatur, Georgia. Julius, welcome back.
What's up, guys? Great to be back. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. There's so much going on right now. I was reading some of the news, and we are currently ranked 18th in the country as far as the number of transfers we're bringing in.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
We're ranked ahead of Syracuse. We're ranked ahead of some big schools. So, Coach Mora is going to work, and he's bringing in Power 4 guys. He's going against our suggestion of maybe bringing up some of the FCS kids. He's going after Power 4 kids, and he's doing a good job bringing them in. So that's pretty good news. Although I don't know how much eligibility they have left. I don't think, for a quick fix, if you're bringing a kid in for a year, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. Doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter anymore. I mean, you saw Carson Beck going to
I know.
Going to Miami, getting $4 million.
I know. I couldn't believe that. Who leaves Georgia?
He's getting $4 million to go to Miami.
Yeah, but who leaves it?
And his girlfriend is the twins, the girl basketball players, the blonde girls, the Cavender twins. That one of those sisters is his girlfriend. So that's
that had it. Yeah,
he goes to Miami.
Yeah, I know.
But those girls are like the influencer. They do the basketball dribbling, and
I know. Vagina has an influence on everyone. There's nothing you can do.
These guys are
$4 million had the influence.
I think it was the $4 million.
If they gave him $4 million in Wyoming, he would have went there. It wouldn't have mattered that he would have a girlfriend, and he would have found a new girlfriend.
But that's what gets me. How the hell does Georgia not match that? How does Georgia let him go for a number that they obviously can match? You don't think Georgia has $4 million to match for him? Or do you think that Georgia just doesn't think he's that good?
Well, he was never.
Oh, really, you would know. I'm sorry. You would know.
I mean, for some reason, people just weren't sold on him as much. And I personally thought that he was a great quarterback and a great leader. I've had a chance to meet the kid at the UGA several times and seen him practice. But for some reason, just the fans just weren't as sold. And it was like, it was almost celebrated when he got hurt, and now,
really?
Hearing things like that, that may have been an ultimate, thing to drive him out of here as well, just not, feeling celebrated, when he was in, and then even hearing that people were celebrating that he was even hurt,
Chris D, I apologize for not starting on time. Thank you. I won't happen again. And Jared was apparently furious we were only ranked 18th. Well, I mean, Chris D, I would like to know, out of the group of 5 conferences, where we would be ranked, out of those schools compared to them. We got to be ranked higher.
Which site had the ranking? Which site did you see the rankings on? Was it Rivals?
I think it was UConn. I think it was uconhuskies.com, to be honest. I was checking the website. Okay. But I was, or maybe Burton sent it to me, because I was trying to talk with him and figure out how they're consolidating all the NIL stuff,
sure,
and how it's going to work. And I want to get Kevin Freeman on to talk about it, so everyone kind of knows the direction that we're going in, so there's no confusion. because you can't go like bleeding blue. I think they should just take down because there's no point to have it. And Store Central, you can't donate. So that's why I was asking Mike. I was like, how do I donate to you? Like how does that happen? And I think it's all going through the foundation.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted to have Kevin on with it, because I think people need to know so they are able to donate to the right place.
Well, I think they're still working that out too. That's part of the issue.
Yeah, they're consolidating and the revenue sharing and all that. I get it. But I just want to make sure that it's coming in. But a lot of people were calling Mora hypocritical.
Yeah, I was just thinking that actually. Go ahead, go. I know what you're going to say.
No, because he hammered Washington State for
Right.
tampering, but he did not he did not go after Belichick at North Carolina. So maybe he just fears Belichick and doesn't want to say anything to him. But I mean, I don't get that. I mean, if you're going to yell at one, yell at everyone, I guess. But as far as UConn goes, I don't think we were. I mean, we were hit hard.
Isn't everybody tampering now?
Yeah, there's no rules. There's no rules.
I mean,
but Julius, for us to lose, obviously Darrell Robinson was an incredible talent at running back, but we have enough depth there, I think, to absorb his production. Price Yates, I think, was a different story because defensively, when they're playing that 3 down, that 3-3-5, they need D linemen, and he was the MVP of that game. So I think he was the tougher loss for the team to overcome, because it's very difficult to recruit good D linemen and especially D linemen that fit that scheme, wouldn't you say?
Totally, man. I've never really been a fan of that 3-man front, man.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
Completely honest. I mean,
I
I'm pretty sure they have a great reasoning. I mean, they have great reasoning to to think it works, and they did a pretty good job. But me personally, man, I've always liked to have 4-man down. I'm a fan of some of the NFL, 3-4 fronts. Because they run them obviously a little bit different than the college level, with some more of like a 3-3-5. But yeah, I don't like 3-man front.
We will make the playoffs.
He's definitely a big loss, though, for sure.
All right. Husky Huddle made the boneyard this week. Somehow posted a clip of Cully saying Mike Burton told him the Big 12 invite was not imminent. All I said was it was not solidified, and Mike had wanted to announce it on the show when we had confirmation of it. I was not saying that it wasn't imminent. I was saying that it hadn't been finalized. And I was saying that Mike wanted to be the one to announce it and not us. So I clarify that. And that's probably why Mike Burton was mad at me. Okay, well, that makes sense.
he was mad at you. Well, I was going to say, so
I'll have to apologize.
I pulled up the guys that they have coming in from the portal. So they have defensive back from Wisconsin. I don't know how to say it, but I think it's Kamal Latu. He had in 2022, I guess he must not have played last year, but in 2022, he had 56 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. He must have got benched or was hurt. Linebacker from Washington, who had 211 tackles in his career. He's probably he's coming here for his 5th year.
Okay. That's all good.
Yeah, those are probably 2 good pickups. Trent Jones, defensive end, 6'3", 275.
That's what we need.
Yeah, he had 19 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 fumbles. So it sounds like he might have been like he started He only played in 3 games, so he's a backup there at Iowa State.
Wow.
Terry Kirksey from Kansas State. Let's see. He's a redshirt junior after 2 seasons at Hutchinson Community. He was originally at Kansas State.
Okay.
But he was at JUCO the last 2 years. Vincent Carroll Jackson, redshirted this season at Nebraska. Defensive lineman, 6'5", 290. Played in 10 games as a rotation guy. MG Flowers, running back, Eastern Illinois. Posted 2 back-to-back 800-yard-plus yards rushing. Had
That's
18.
good.
Yeah, pretty good. 1,835 yards rushing, 50 touchdowns in his career. Sammy Anderson, defensive back, Austin P. Let's see, he had 2024, 19 tackles, 3 pass deflections, 4 interceptions.
So what year is he? Did it say?
He's he'll be a redshirt senior.
Okay, so they got a couple graduates and
I got a few more. They got 12 guys. A guy from Grand Valley State, defensive back, from Bolingbrook, Illinois.
I like that.
My mother's hometown. Spent 3 years Grand Valley State, where 90 tackles, 2 interceptions. I guess that Grand Valley State thinks D2, right?
Yeah, Grand Valley State is one of the top D2 programs in the country.
And then the kid from Georgetown, defensive back, Kaluba Pee Wee. That's his name, Kaluba Pee Wee Jr.
No, we watched him, and when I was with Mike, we watched him, and he was unbelievable. I watched him in the Colgate game, and he was unblockable. He's got really good center of gravity. He plays low to the ground. He's good with his hands. He plays the runs. The Georgetown kid.
He's a defensive back.
Yeah, he's good with his hands. He comes up. He hits people. He sticks people. He runs well. He's good in coverage.
He only had 19 tackles and 1 interception, though.
Well, I mean, because people didn't go near him. I mean, he was a boundary guy.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure he was a boundary corner.
Then they got a old lineman from Brown.
Wow.
Yep.
That's big.
3rd team All Ivy kid.
That's really big that a kid would leave Brown to come to UConn.
He must be a
graduate.
Let's see. Doesn't say, so I'm not sure. Stephen Wright from Texas Southern's the last guy. Another D lineman, DN, 6'3", 280. 15 tackles and interception at SMU in 2022. This guy's on his 4th school.
Jesus.
So he started at Arizona State in 2019. Then he played for SMU. Then he played last year at Texas Southern. So I don't know. He might be more of a backup role guy, but
yeah.
But yeah,
that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids.
It's early. We haven't got to the spring yet, so that's 12 guys.
But like Julius, Carson Beck leaving Georgia, do you think that spells disaster for them, or do you think he was overrated? And do you think his backup played well in his absence? I just wasn't sure.
I didn't think his back was very good at all, actually.
Well, he played well when Carson Beck initially got hurt. He did not play well in the playoffs.
No.
But do you think he's the long-term answer, or do you think he's someone that they'll try to replace, since that's your neck of the woods?
I think Carson Beck is a huge loss, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Just from being a guy who they were, married to. But I know Kirby Smart and how he thinks, and everybody at Georgia is replaceable in his eyes, and that's how he recruits. That's just the way it's set up there. I mean,
next guy up.
Yeah, it's a program that loses guys frequently. Just being in an SEC country and being pretty much the leader of it for the last few years. there's no shortage of stock,
No, there
So,
isn't.
and then most of those guys, they're either going there and playing, or they're entering the portal and going somewhere where they will play. So, they definitely have a stable of guys. I don't think, no, the quarterback that was just in, I believe I can't think of his name for some reason right now, but he played decent, but I definitely, feel like they're going to bring someone in, or
Yeah.
you know, going to at least let those guys compete. Who they
Did
have.
you think there was any dissension between Carson Beck and Kirby Smart at all?
Well, I mean, you hear whispers,
You do, yeah.
of certain things. I mean, I'm not completely in the know, but I mean, I've heard a couple different stories. You know, mainly of just he didn't like how the fans and everybody reacted to him initially, being hurt.
Yeah, yeah, that was rough. They cheered it. That's
Yeah,
not what you want.
yeah,
That's not what you
exactly, man.
want.
I mean, it can be hard for a kid, especially in this social media age we live in, man, and everybody's just, striving for likes and wanting to, praise. It's kind of hard to be, quarterback of one of the top programs in the country, and not feel loved, especially after something like that happens.
Chris D, if we make the playoffs next year, I will walk to stores in my boxer shorts before I say I hate the 3-3-5. I promise you that. If that's what he says, we'll be in the playoffs and I'll knock the 3-3-5. I will not knock the 3-3-5. I will walk the stores in my boxers in December.
You're saying
How's
that
that?
when people want to see that. Like,
Oh, what is he? Chris D, tell me what you want me to do.
yeah, there you go.
If I eat crow and the 3-3-5 dominates and we end up in the playoffs, I will do whatever you ask. You can have your choosing of my punishment. But I listen. They brought in a good amount of defensive linemen, which I think will help, and I think that'll give them more versatility to play 4 down, which they needed at times, and it'll give them the ability to at least hopefully in coverage. We played a lot. I thought we played a lot of man coverage. Dave, did you think we played a lot of man overall? Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely played a good amount of man.
Played
coverage.
A ton of man. Yeah.
I listen, the 3-3-5. First of all, we don't really run like a 3-3-5 like you're thinking about it.
Not traditional. No.
It's
we always have 4 down.
Yeah, everything now is rolled to whatever the strength is, and you're rolling the guy down, you're rolling the guy back, you're sliding the guy over.
Yeah,
so
they try to disguise the coverage.
It's not really. It's not. If they go double tight, you might be almost a 53. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. You got to walk.
Really not. The big thing is the personnel that's in and how they handle the personnel. I think that's what they did a really good job with UConn this year, was getting the right personnel on the field for substitutes.
They did.
Yeah. And
they
so
rotated a lot of guys.
So like the old 3-3-5 from the kind of West Virginia 3-3-5, the original kind of when it went big all over the country. Yeah. That was very rover heavy. Those rovers had to be athletes.
Yeah, you're a hybrid. You're a hybrid linebacker and safety.
They're subbing those guys out now. It's a little different. It's
yeah.
So those guys are coming out situationally. It's not like the original 3-3-5 where those guys had to be safety
all over the place.
They could be DNs, and that's where you get into a problem. If a team really ran at you, UConn was really putting in personnel, which a lot of teams are doing now, obviously, based off each situation. So some of those guys are
situational, yes,
yeah, and that I think that's why I'm saying it's not like Like it's they might call it 3-3-5 because that's maybe their base, but I don't see them in base very much, So
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not like that
the
at all.
difference is like the biggest difference is like that guy is standing when there's a fourth guy down. That guy's standing versus a traditional 40 front where for the most part guys are all in a 3-point stance.
Yeah,
Although even
yeah,
that's changing now, right? Like you see some of these teams, like even on the West Coast and stuff, those guys are standing.
yeah, yeah. They stand up in the 2-point
Yeah,
I
you
think
got
it's
even inside guys. Yeah,
what's that?
I said even
inside
the
guys.
inside guys.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Even the inside guys, I saw that for the first, not this year, but I think it was last year. The first time I ever had really ever seen a team doing that all the time was UCLA had these two twins from North. They were transfers from North Texas, and they were kind of like linebacker type guys, but they were like,
They were playing inside.
yeah, they were like but they had been defensive linemen their whole career, but they were at a lower, like North Texas was like a group of fives, but they were just made all kinds of plays, so they transferred up to UCLA, and they were playing like inside and outside, and they were standing up, like it was crazy, like even in rundowns, like they were like at a 3 technique standing up, which
That's the new culture, man, and like the new culture
You're
of
right.
college football, is a lot different. Traditionally, you don't have as many studs. Like now with the new rules, the NIL, you can pay guys to come in and be ready to play. Like traditionally, you had a few freshmen, maybe one or two freshmen they were even ready to go on the
To
field and not
contribute.
redshirt at all. And
Yep.
even those two guys still needed a lot of development. These days, you got on the D line, you got 8 guys that are ready to play now. Because of the transfer portal. You got all sorts of
That's
linebackers,
huge.
DBs. Even on offense. So teams are a lot deeper now because they're going after older guys. They're going after guys that played, JUCO, prep school, have been at other schools now.
Exactly.
So traditionally, coaches are having to do more, to exercise their new toys. You got
Yeah.
you got a garage with 10 cars, you want to drive them all. So essentially that's what they're doing on defenses, and they're getting a lot more exotic, you know, with the tools that they have, to use. Basically trying to get everybody playing time and use them and get their bang for their buck.
Exactly. No, I know, Julius, you work with a lot of different types of kids. If they come to you and ask for advice on recruiting or on colleges, on, how should I handle this coach or how should I handle that coach? Or do they talk to you? Will college coaches talk to you directly? But how do you handle the situation when the colleges start becoming involved with the kids that you're working with, and talking with you, not talking with you, and then like advising the kids?
um I mainly tell the kids in recruiting
Yeah,
to look for genuine conversation and
right.
genuine interest. Like if a coach is
Sincere.
praising you too much,
Yeah, that's a sign.
it's a sign of bad. You want to go to coaches that are going to tell you, hey, you're a great player,
You do
we
this,
like
this, and
you,
this.
but you're going to come in and compete. You're going to come in. We're recruiting other guys just like we're recruiting you. You have a chance to come in and you know and be an asset. You know, um,
We're
and
not
I tell
promising
them.
you the world.
Right, exactly, man. Not so much the salesmanship, and everybody's gonna sell to a certain extent, but you know who's overselling good. And I also tell them to go after the guys that are also that show you a good amount of interest as well. So it's kind of a heavy balance of, you know, they're interested, but they're not overselling. If that makes sense at all.
Right. Because if they're overselling, that's too much. If you're
Right,
too over the top, that's
exactly.
definitely a sign.
Right, for sure.
Dave, have you experienced that as well with coaches? I know with the club that you run, but you still interact with coaches, especially on some of the shows that you do. Has their recruiting kind of style, the methods that they use, have they changed quite a bit since the whole NIL and the transfer portal have come about?
Oh yeah, dramatically.
Dramatically, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. So one of the things is like coming on campus, like to high schools, that's changed a lot. They don't come on, like a few things has changed. Number one, they don't come on to high schools as much. They're going to places that they think there's a
Wow.
player at. Whereas like even as short as 10 years ago, they would go visit a high school coach
Regardless if there was a kid
find
there.
out who he likes, and that's gone. Like they're coming to you if you have players or somebody recommends they go to see you. That's it. Other than that, they're interacting with the players directly. And then the other thing is that obviously they're using social media, so they could filter a lot. Like the GAs are filtering a lot of things before it gets to the coaches. So
Correct.
there's just too many people sending.
There's too many layers in
Too many
between.
people send you huddle films. I mean, it's like you can't even, like it's beautiful that everybody has access. So every player essentially now has the ability to get their film in his hands, right?
Correct.
That's the beauty of social media. The negative of it is coaches block it out because they're just getting inundated and like
They can't watch it all.
they haven't met a lot of these kids, so they need someone to filter these things out. So that's the negative is from that standpoint where they may not see the kid you want. You may have a kid that they could look at, but they don't end up looking at them because just the filtering process is much greater. The other thing is that not as many kids are there. There's not as many kids for them to recruit at the high school level because it's so much easier for them
to get a ready-made kid
portal and look at kids who have done something at the college level, right? Like this guy, I mean, shoot, like, we talked about it before. You could go look, you could pull up the stats of FCS, let's say, and let's say you're looking to take a player that you want to upgrade up. Well, you can go look and see what they did literally and just go, oh, there's their name. He rushed for 1,000 yards. Cool. Let's watch his film. Let's see if he's a guy that might fit. Cool. Let's reach out to him. Like,
it's that fast.
And third parties are reaching out. So it's not when Maura's talking about tampering, maybe there's a couple of coaches that are breaking the rules and tampering directly. I'm sure there is. But what most of it is really like an outside person. So someone reaching out to me or Julius and saying, hey, Julius might work with a defensive lineman. The kid says he's thinking about entering the transfer portal and he's trained with Julius. And he's like, hey, can you help me out? Can you maybe reach out to a school, see if they're interested? Or more than likely, what's really happening is someone from XYZ Booster from this school reaches out to Julius and says, hey, would this kid jump into the portal? And Julius is like, hey, Coach so-and-so reached out to me from this school. Is interested in you jumping in the portal. I talked to their, NIL guy, and they want to know, are you interested in going to the portal? Like that, a lot of that stuff's going on, and that's hard to manage, period, right? It's very hard to manage. But it's going on because how else are you going to find out if a kid's thinking about jumping in the portal? Because if he jumps into the portal, by the time he jumps into the portal, it's probably too late for you to recruit a top kid. I'm not talking about the kid who's like hoping to get in somewhere or something like that. I'm talking about like a top guy. Like let's say Julius back in the day wanted to jump into the portal. If another school was going to recruit Julius and he jumped in the portal, it would be too late. Like, a guy who's an NFL prospect, they're already trying to figure that out for a month at minimum Like, is he going to jump in the portal? Third parties are reaching out to him directly, or his family, or a coach, or whatever, and they're finding out. And then they're finding out what might be a play for him. He may cost money. He may not cost money, but they're trying to find that out. They're trying to figure out, what the parameters are. So when he does, if he jumps into the portal, we already know these are the schools he's going to have a good chance of being interested in.
Right.
And that's what's going on. Now, I don't know if UConn does that at all, or not, but there's no doubt if you're Ohio State or USC and you need a guy, Miami needed Carson Beck. Man, it's not like Carson Beck just jumped into the portal. Like,
no, there's a lot that went into it, I'm sure.
Yeah, listen, if his girlfriend is that basketball player from Miami. He's obviously been down there before, right? When he goes and visits her, you don't think
they're trying to get him to come play for us?
I'm
saying
the
kids.
Whoever, well, it could be players, yeah, or one of the NIL guys says, "Hey, man, like, I'm Cavender. I don't know which Cavender sister he's dating, but I'm their NIL person because those girls make $1 million plus a year." Okay, because they're like really influenced. They're really good basketball players, but they're really more influencers because they're pretty girls and all that kind of stuff. And they do the dances on TikTok. So
I hate those TikTok bullshit.
Yeah, but these girls like Paige Beckers does it. UConn, Paige Beckers
drives me nuts.
Dances and stuff.
Win a game, win a championship.
She does it more as like she's not trying to be all sexy. Like,
no,
she's
just goofing around.
If you come across it, Steve, you're going to watch it. Like, these girls are going to look, really
I do have testosterone still, so.
Yeah, they're trying to get guys to watch them, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it's a little different, like, but they're making a lot of money. So
no, I know they're making a ton.
Whoever their NIL agent isn't talking to those girls are already at Miami. You don't think they're talking to Miami's person in charge of NIL saying, would you be interested in Carson Beck? Carson Beck doesn't just jump into the portal. The second he got hurt that whole month, he started thinking, am I going to be drafted? Am I not going to be drafted? You know what I mean? And then he thinks, should I transfer to another place? Can I get a lot of money?
He was going to come out. He was going to come out of the
until he got hurt. Until he got hurt, people were talking about him maybe being a higher pick, but he was strong. I think he's really good. I just think that Georgia runs a system they're not throwing the ball over the yard.
No, Kirby Smart doesn't do that. No,
that's not his style. So I think that system, but I thought there were some games. Listen, he'd throw picks, couple picks. And all of a sudden, the second half, he just starts rolling. He'd
get on fire.
Make plays, and so I think he has the ability. But yeah, so that's what's going on. So yeah, recruiting radically different. Are there guys that have obviously relationships with high school?
Sure,
coaches? Absolutely. But you're probably talking for the most part the better programs, like down where Julius is, Grayson and Buford,
Milton. Isn't Milton good?
And Collins Hill, those schools are top programs. They have coaches that are pretty well known, like Travis Hunter, I think, went to Collins Hill, and but Buford and Grayson are powers, and there's other schools. I'm just mentioning a few of them, but those coaches, no doubt, those guys are visiting those guys because those coaches are entrenched in a lot of things. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have a superstar player, they're probably reaching out to them directly as opposed to going to the coach.
Dave, Chris D had an interesting question. He said that Coach K made a statement saying that the ACC and Big East should merge. What are your thoughts on that? That's Coach K, the legend, the best of the best, saying that we should merge.
So it would become a program the only football school in the Big East is us, right?
Well, Georgetown's FCS. Yeah, I think so. Nova is FCS. But
So I
as
don't know
far
how
as
that
FBS schools,
I don't know how that part would work, but
they'd have to stay in their
basketball
conferences.
wise, it would make it would be a slam dunk.
Yes.
Football. I don't know how. I don't know how.
Creighton, Seton Hall, St. John, they don't have
I'm
football
sure he's
teams.
thinking that the TV revenue wise, if that was done, that'd be a home run for basketball. TV revenue wise.
Yeah, which is exactly what they need because they're not getting the TV revenue just from football. That's been the whole problem is the TV revenue for the ACC is peanuts. The TV revenue for the Big East is peanuts. And that's what's really been holding them back. And we don't have the fundraising like an SMU to go out and raise that kind of money to be self-sufficient. And I think that's what's killing us. You know, if we had the donors and could raise $100 million and live without television revenue and join a bigger conference, I think we would. But I don't think we would be able to sustain the model. But I don't think like UMass going into the MAC is the answer either.
Yeah, no, we can't do that. But I think that's an interesting proposition. I really never thought about those two merging, so I'd have to think about it more to really kind of have a true opinion on it. But I do think that there is an interesting thing going on with NIL in football, and I think benefiting the northern schools in general. Like that's kind of the debate, right? So I think for basketball, the SEC really has benefited from
huge.
Oh yeah, big time.
Big time. But for football, the argument now has been because there's and Texas is not a good example. Texas schools not because they have just huge money and endowments in these Texas schools.
Correct.
So that's not like a good example. But a lot of the SEC schools, they might have one or two big donors, but they don't have the breadth of endowment that some of the northern schools like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State have, right? And so the kind of there's this thing, and nobody we won't know because it'll be over time, right?
So like Georgia, Florida, some of the SEC schools don't have that kind of money.
They may not. Because Ohio. Well, if you look at who spent the most, very quickly it went from being SEC was spending more.
Well, it was Texas and then Ohio State.
Right. So those schools, Texas, obviously, which is a gigantic university.
Yes.
It has benefited from a long time of oil money to be able to really have huge endowments and a lot of people that have a lot of money because energy is such a big thing. But if you go throughout the South, Georgia, I would guess, has probably a pretty good endowment. I would guess they will be fine. But if you were to go to probably Alabama, my guess, and maybe Mississippi State probably has a problem.
Ole Miss.
I don't know about Ole Miss, because they're like
Vanderbilt.
I would guess that Ole Miss probably has one or two donors. Tennessee, a couple of
Tennessee did, yes.
Probably going to be a little more immune to it because of Atlanta and the level of business that you have. A lot more probably very, very successful guys and girls that have made businesses work. Maybe Florida. I would say Florida would be immune to it, except for the fact that there's a lot of Division I Florida schools, and Miami seems to have more money because it's a private university than Florida and Florida State does. So,
well, Miami is a good academic institution. Miami was a very good academic institution.
Well, the traditional good academic, and this is why we always make the joke that like
Harvard could take over the world if they wanted to.
The mix, they could immediately, because they have so much money and endowment money that it's a joke how much money they have. Like, you look it up online, you're talking $50 billion. Like, if they really wanted, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton wanted to jump into the football game, they're not gonna, because the universities kind of like,
they want to focus on academics. I know,
but if they wanted to, that's my example.
Oh, they'd kill everyone.
I think Duke could do it.
Stanford.
Yeah. So you get long-standing universities that have had a lot of money, and that favors Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State, right? So I think that does. So basketball doesn't require overall as much money. So,
no.
Which is why I think SEC has caught up really fast in basketball, because once all that money started flowing in, you only have so many players. So it's kind of like, everybody's only going to spend so much money on basketball. So now SEC, who originally wasn't spending that much money at all on basketball, now can spend a good amount of money. And their team, look how many good teams there are in basketball in the SEC. But football is a different game, because you need a lot of players to get money, not just your quarterback, but you need a lot of players. And it's like a race of who has more billionaires. So if you go and you find like who has more billionaires, and you go look at the schools that have more billionaires, they're going to have a chance to have more money, because that's kind of the game now. Now it's a matter of whether they want to do it. But Michigan's my example, because what Larry Ellison did from Oracle, right? His wife begged him to help him.
Here you go.
He's an Illinois alum, he doesn't even care about Michigan. But his wife goes to Michigan. She asks him for help. The guy's worth $236 billion. Like,
no, of course.
$10 million is like me, all of us going and getting ourselves a nice tea at the convenience store. For him, that's what $10 million. It's nothing.
Julius, I wanted to ask you, because you had friends and you knew coaches at like Georgia State, and they've had a couple good seasons. I know that not this past year, but the season before and the season before that, and they've grown the program. Do you know if they have an NIL collective that's contributing and trying to bring players in? Or are they focused more on trying to get freshmen in?
They do have an NIL collective program. Pretty much, everybody D1, right?
Okay.
Now. But the way they're doing it, though, they brought in Dale McGee from UGA, and he was a big part of UGA's success. So,
wow.
So bringing him in, making him the head coach, I think has really brought lots of attention to Georgia State, because all of the guys that won't get the UGA offer, now Georgia State is a better next best thing, because now you have Dale McGee there, and they've made some great hires. They just hired a good friend of mine, a guy named Jaden Hunter, to go in and be the outside linebackers coach. He was a big time recruit out of Georgia. He's young too, man. Guy maybe like he's under 30 years old, and a lot of people know him. But they're like Georgia, it's God around here. Right?
Yeah, I know that.
But they've done a good job at Georgia State by going in and bringing in the UGA guys, and I think that's changing the culture. And NIL, it's the new thing. Let's be honest, man. NIL starts in Georgia at 5 years old. It's just how it is.
It does, yeah.
High schools are doing it. Like you guys spoke earlier. You got guys going to 4 different colleges. Where down here in Georgia, you got guys going to 4 different high schools. You got kids playing for 6 different parks, but between 5 and 12. You got like it's crazy. You got
they can transfer high schools that many times. They can go wherever they want.
You got guys that have literally played at 4 different high schools, like 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. They're at different high schools.
Jesus.
Like we have the superstar kid down here that starts at 6. These running backs and receivers and quarterbacks, they're playing for 8 different programs for youth football. Because that's now the culture, man. Like everybody's, it's just kind of that one and done contract deal. So I mean, I think it's ruining sports, honestly, man. Like it's not, people are looking forward to who's leaving. It's like major
Yeah.
news, breaking news, such and such is transparent.
Well, it's
It's like,
TMZ, right? It's like TMZ. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it's
yeah,
turning into.
That's
Yeah.
what it's become. Like it's like, what's the news of the day? And you're waiting to be wowed by something, right? Like Carson Beck news comes out, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" And then tomorrow, there's a whole another person that's
Well, the
coming
Boise
out.
State running back, everyone's worried that he's going to leave.
Who's
yeah.
that?
The Boise State running back, Gene
Well, he's
T.
going to the pro. He declared for the NFL.
He did declare, okay, or
Yeah,
else he would have gone somewhere else
Well, Kirby
because
has a deal, man. Kirby has a deal that he preaches where he preaches work while you wait, you know, and he's probably one of the only coaches that I've heard really preach that. But that's going to get hard for him. That's easy to say when you're winning championships. It's
right,
easy to say, when you're a 3-time national champion, back to back to back. But then you begin to lose. Most kids aren't going to wait. They
no,
because the culture is to, hey, if I don't play here since 5 years old, I'm going to go somewhere where I do play. Because there's a surplus of places to go. So now, man, I think the culture is changing. Traditionally, Georgia over the past few years has been known to not pay guys because they've had so much success.
success.
So
Wow,
I mean, I'm imagining they definitely weren't willing to match Miami's offer, with Carson Beck. So they're losing a lot of guys. I know it's particularly high school guys, like top high school guys, they're losing out on them because they simply won't pay them as much, as an Ohio State, as a
wow,
Alabama, as a Miami, as a Florida State even, you know.
you got to take
So
care of your own
yeah,
state.
so I
Wow.
think Kirby's going to have to definitely, write a couple more checks, man, if he wants to, stay out of college football.
I wanted to ask you because I know you mentioned this before. You're doing some camp work or training work that's 5-on-5 as opposed to 7-on-7.
Mhm.
So, what is a 5-on-5 camp like?
So 7-on-7 is very popular, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
Um,
Yes.
so 7-on-7 is more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's for the
Fest,
skilled guys. I know.
festive. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's more festive. It's a lot more theatrics.
It is festive.
A lot more bells and whistles, a lot
Yeah.
more dancing, and guys are
Everyone's having
more concerned with
fun.
doing
Yeah.
TikTok dances at 7-on-7 tournaments than they are playing football. You know, uh,
Yeah.
That's
5v5 is war.
Oh,
It's
it
war.
is.
It's it's as soon as you get off the bus, it's no talking. It's coaches are barely shaking up. It's going to war.
And it's
And
linemen strictly?
it's all O line and D line.
Oh, okay.
You got a couple tight ends here and there that'll jump in. You got some linebackers that'll get in and rush. But I've not. We've been doing it 5 years now, and nothing gives me chills like this at this point in my life. Can't play football anymore and hit people. This is the closest thing to it.
Right. Exactly.
And I in fact, you guys know I coach youth football, and
Yes.
and I enjoy this more than I enjoy actually coaching football. Because it's so exciting, and these guys are basically coming celebrities overnight from this. You got 7-on-7. It kind of takes you a while to blow up. You got to go to different tournaments, and as the guys say, you got to strap stuff and get and become you know at the end of the day out there, it's still 14 guys going. 5v5 is one-on-one. It's you versus the other guy in front of you.
Okay, so
You
that's how you
guys are
do it.
the only two guys that are going to be on camera at that particular time for that 4 seconds. And
And
man,
you do both pass rushing and run blocking?
so there's no run blocking.
It's all one-on-one pass
It's all
blocking.
pass
Okay.
rush because
Yeah.
traditionally we don't wear any shoulder
Yeah.
pads. We
Right,
have
right,
soft
right.
shell helmets and things like that for safety, but no shoulder
That's
pads.
awesome.
But yeah, man, but because over the past few years, one-on-ones
That's a
are the
great
true
idea.
measurement at football camps. Like
They
every
are.
college camp, I've seen guys have terrible camps as far as drill work, board work,
Yep.
and go to one-on-ones and go 4 for 4 and get offered.
That's how it works.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
so
is.
so that's I think it's definitely becoming more popular by the day. 3 years ago, we were the only 5v5 team in Georgia. Now there's like 50 to 100. you
So
know,
how is it structured? Like how does it work like reps wise? You get five up, five on offense, five on defense. Each person goes through twice and then they rotate.
yeah, exactly. Yep. So
Okay.
the
That
national
is cool.
competitions, there's 6 minute rounds. There's a timer that's set
Oh,
at six
wow.
minutes, and each guy there's one offensive lineman and one defensive lineman. We line up no two ends, no 2-3 techniques in the nose.
Correct.
No center, two guards, and two tackles, and they go one at a
So they don't
time. Each guy
yeah.
gets 2 reps. If a guy gets to the bag on defense, he gets the point. If he doesn't, the offense gets the point. And it's that
So
simple.
you keep the rush lanes tight because of those gaps. So
Yeah,
they
they
can't
can't. So
run
they
around
can't
everywhere.
vacate. I mean, they can do an inside or outside move, but they can't
Right.
vacate gaps. Like you can't be a nose and go through the B gap.
Right. That's really interesting. And you run that at all the trench mob camps that you do? You do 5v5?
Yep. So I mean,
That's part of it.
we have certain partners where we, um, one day may be a 7-on-7 camp, and the next day is a 5v5
Correct.
camp. But we have a coalition, um, and that we know with several teams. We got Stars Mentoring program down in Miami, so they're hosting the one down in Miami. We're hosting Atlanta. You got a program called Hogs and Dogs. Hog Academy. Out of Ohio, you got 32 Sports. Out of
Yeah, Matt
Connecticut.
Lawrence. Yep.
And he partnered. With the guy Amal from Boston, and then we got a program in Pennsylvania, like 2/10. So,
That's
um,
great.
yeah, so we're going to travel around, man. We have a coalition. Each team is going to host, and we just traveling and go to war.
I love it. No, I absolutely love it. And I forgot to get quickly what were your thoughts on the bowl game? Because I never got to ask you about that. We had a great turnout as far as alumni. The place was full, great atmosphere, great energy. The guys came out ready to play, and I thought they put a whooping on North Carolina. But I never got your thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, I love it, man. UConn hasn't been great. So to go in a bowl game and to beat a worthy opponent, like North Carolina, the way we did, man, was awesome. And I definitely saw all the alumni engagement, all the guys on Facebook and Instagram, and how many guys were there. And it just looked like a great place to be. I couldn't make it because I was obviously all
No,
day
I
doing
know.
something football. But it was great, man. It was great to see. I think that people are beginning to respect UConn again. You know, 5 years ago you said UConn, nobody blinked. You know, but now you say UConn, like I'm beginning to hear kids around here happy about UConn offense.
Mention us and know us.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
like, and then it's good to see, man. I'm in hopes that we can definitely continue. And, I think we'll eventually get into a Power Five conference, man, and make some noise. I
Yes.
truly do.
Yes. Dave, I have to apologize to Mike Burton if I got him in trouble for saying that going to the Big 12 was imminent. I didn't mean to say that. So, Mike, I am sorry. He's probably going to yell at me. I knew that he had wanted to make the announcement. I knew that we were close in negotiations, but it just didn't happen. But I'm hoping that this offseason maybe something can happen as long as basketball can take care of itself. We have enough to show that we belong.
Yeah, I truly do, man. I mean, I think it's definitely time for change in UConn country, man, with football. For sure.
Do you think so, Dave? Do you think that if basketball takes care of itself, men's and women's, combined with the success that we've had in football, bringing in the transfers that we're bringing in, and hopefully we're just getting started, do you think that we would have a potential chance at an invite before next fall?
To Big 12?
To anywhere, Big 12 or ACC?
Yeah, to anywhere? Yeah, I think possibly. I don't know if we want to go to Big 12, right, for that travel, but I would think so.
The Big 12. The only reason would be financially.
Yeah,
but the travel, I agree with you. The travel would equal it out regardless.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that a school would. There's no doubt about it. I mean, to me, the ACC is probably the most natural fit.
It's an easy fit. Yeah,
I agree.
But I don't know. Like, we're never going to get the Big Ten because Rutgers is the Northeast kind of represented. That tri-state area representative.
Rutgers and Syracuse is in the ACC. Yep.
Even though I do question whether Rutgers brings any attention at all.
I don't.
I just think that maybe because the only thing I could think of is that maybe the channel, the television channels for New York City,
right,
much bigger, obviously, and
the ratings wise,
so they would cover it in 2, 4, and 7 in or whatever in New York City area, and that would get covered by Rutgers, and that's what's going to get it. Whereas Connecticut, like WFSB, like Channel 2, those channels are Connecticut based, and not as big, and that may be part of it. I don't know enough to know, but that's my guess. Like, why would you want to have Rutgers? Rutgers really hasn't had a tremendous amount of success.
Well, I think they're ceiling 6 wins every year. I don't think they're going to.
I don't think UConn has a seat. If we could raise the money, I really don't think.
Well, it looks like we are. I mean, we're bringing in a lot of transfers combined with the 12 freshmen we brought in. I mean, look at what we've got.
They're paying the transfers that I read off.
You don't think we're paying them?
I don't think you're paying a ton of those guys because
I hope so.
A lot of them they played, but they weren't. It wasn't like they were superstars where they were.
Exactly right.
The superstars were guys that were from a lower level. So I don't think. I think they're managing their money wise there.
Yes.
Probably pretty well, But
well, we paid Evers, and he didn't really have a lot to go on.
I didn't see a quarterback on that list either, so I'm not sure. But
so that scares me a little bit too.
Yeah, but maybe they want to see what we have.
Well, yeah, if they go through the spring and they see what he can do, and now I think that makes JUCO more attractive because they're going to get an extra year. They said because of that ruling on the other kid. So if you take a JUCO kid, you get 3 years out of them. I think that makes a difference as well.
I think UConn has a bigger upside than a Rutgers, just because living in New Jersey, like the best players, I mean, traditionally have gone out of state. Like that's, so a lot of times the guys that you would hang your hat on in New Jersey, they're playing for like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, they're playing in different places. So you don't get that same like homegrown thing going on at Rutgers as you would at like Georgia. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you get much more of a homegrown talent that stays home and people know who that person is. They follow that. Rutgers is not So that's why I think UConn has a bigger upside, meaning we have zero really in state.
Yeah,
UConn.
we
So
do.
it's national recruiting, just like basketball, right from the get-go. So there's no such thing as that. They're watching. So I think we would have a huge upside, and basketball has shown that we have that huge upside. Baseball has shown we have that huge upside.
Well, basketball, we took that tough loss over the weekend.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about in general.
But overall, yes.
National championships. I think that. And listen, I think you're right about the conference thing, because I think in the end, if we don't get in a conference, it will begin to hurt basketball.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, they won't get the money that they need.
It's just because it comes down to that money, and that like we
would
would
have to be self-sufficient to do that.
When we got, what was the Rutgers guard that we got that transferred last year? He was very good for us.
I don't remember.
Cam Spencer. So
yes.
We paid Cam Spencer a ton to leave Rutgers essentially and come to UConn, and it worked out really well.
Correct.
But, like we probably didn't pay. Probably played Klingon. We probably played Cam Spencer. Probably paid Newton. But that's probably all we paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's different than football. Yeah, I get it.
Football. So, but over time, we're going to need more. Like if you look at like what just VCU's doing with every player's getting $380K. They only have basketball, right? So they're giving everybody $380K. Like if we don't get in a conference,
but I still think that raises Title IX issues by doing that.
I in the long run it probably does, but
there's no Title IX rules for NIL collectives. There's nothing that says that you have to pay the women as much as you have to pay the men. So that's the problem.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. I bet you VCU's got people knocking out their door.
Yeah, I'm sure. Julius, I just wanted to give you kind of the last word here. You have a camp February in Miami. It's at 10 a.m. Is it February 15th?
February 23rd.
February 23rd. Okay, February 23rd, 10 a.m. Miami. Where's the location?
So it's going to be at Miami Edison High School.
Miami Edison.
I don't know if you guys remember Uncle Luke from back in the day with the 2 Live crew with the dance down in Miami. So he's the head coach at that school now. So,
really?
Yeah, he's
Uncle
a famous.
Luke is the head coach of football at Edison.
Uncle Luke. Yeah, he's the head coach of Miami Edison. Man, he's a great guy, man. So, we can't wait to go down there, man. It's a guy, Coach O. Owns a program called Stars Mentoring. He's the host, of that one for our coalition.
So, again, please send me any reels that you have. I'm going to put together something showing all your reels cut up together to promote that camp. And then you have one in March, which is the 5v5 at Gwinnett County. That's right where you are. Is that actually in Atlanta?
So it's Gwinnett County is like North Atlanta.
Okay.
So we're about 40 minutes from the airport.
Okay.
Yep. So man, it'll be a great camp, man. Like,
where's that located specifically? Is it at a high school or an indoor facility?
It's at Central Gwinnett High School.
Central Gwinnett. Okay. I'll make sure to put that in. But that's amazing that Georgia would not match or be concerned about losing Carson Beck, and they next man up, replace him. That's the attitude they have. I agree with that. I think UConn, we're rolling in the transfer portal. I don't think we got hit too bad, which is good. I think we're bringing in some good talent, some good pieces, especially up front, which is greatly needed. And I think we're gonna be okay. We'll just have to keep monitoring how the situation plays out, and I have to call Mike Burton and apologize to him.
Sounds good to me. I'd like you to record you apologize.
You want me to record the apology? He called me the other day. I kind of knew that I was going to be in trouble for something. I didn't answer, but because we had a good conversation before, and then he called a little bit later. So now that makes sense. We're getting on the boneyard, Dave. They're putting clips of us on the boneyard. Can you believe that?
I mean, they should be putting all the clips on the boneyard. The way I
Uh,
look at it.
Well, another stellar episode of Husky Huddle. Another stellar episode of Husky Huddle. Julius Trenches Williams of the Trench Mob. The Trench Mob. He's doing a great job. We're promoting him. We have some ads running on Instagram and Facebook for his camps in Miami in February 23rd. And then in Gwinnett, March 15th.
Yep, 16th. Yes, 16th. Sir.
March 16th. So we'll make sure to get that out there. And for Julius, for Coach Schumann, the next greatest influencer, who has 1.1. Are we at 1.1 or 1.2 million subscribers?
I think it's 1.12. Yeah.
1.12.
1.2 million. Yeah.
Wow. So we're skyrocketing. We're going up. It's all because of my content, so that's
must
okay.
Be.
Yes, must be. For Coach Schumann Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button if you want to get the realest of the real, the best coverage of UConn athletics. Go to that channel, because Locked On can lock my balls for all I'm concerned. We are the best of the best. We actually played. We actually had success. And that's why we have Julius with us as well. So, for everyone, remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.